Hello there, Scotty. You're not. Had a fan on. It's a little warm tonight. It's not warm enough for the air conditioner, so got a fan on. I got a nice breeze going. I just kind of want to relax with it. So if it's a little hard to hear, I'm sorry, but try to speak up. This is a video I've been contemplating on doing for a little while now. So I love wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. But if you may have noticed, I did not do a video on Money in the Bank from this year. I paid attention to what happened, but here's the thing. When I do that, I have to watch the program so I can understand and talk about some things that happened during the show. I have to do that. After seeing the bad booking decisions made from that show, I did not care to watch it. And if you're saying bad booking, what bad booking? Well, first and foremost, and I've said this before, I don't like, in fact, I'm becoming more of, I hate the 5-match format. You have all this talent on your roster, and these premium live events, which are supposed to be the big payoffs, the rivalries, and stuff like that, you do 5 matches, and you're not putting enough talent out there. I know you have the Money in the Bank matches, whatever. And that's another problem that happens. If you're doing a regular 5-match show, you can make it work. Put a tag title match on there, put women's title match. But title defenses are few and far in between. They'll throw them on a random Raw and have them end usually in a DQ. And then you're sitting there going, well, what's the point of even building up that match if you're not going to be serious about the finish? Right? I mean, look at what's coming up this weekend. Night of Champions. An event that has been heralded in the past as a night where every title's on the line. And this year, 2 of the matches are championship matches because they decided they had to force the King of the Ring into this. Why? The King and Queen of the Ring, excuse me, because we got to be equal. Forget that we had an establishment of something since the 80s. No, we got to be equal now. The women have to have it too. And that's another thing. I understand equality, but just because you want to be equal doesn't mean if you make something for the men, the women have to have it too. It is cluttered so much, especially with the title scene. We've had men's mid-card titles for years, and now they've said, hey, we got women's mid-card titles. The problem is you have now added more titles, and you still are sticking to 5-match pay-per-view shows. How can you do that? How can you build these matches? One thing is you actually pay attention to the goddamn brand split, and you can do a Raw exclusive PLE and a SmackDown exclusive PLE, and you can do it better than you did in the past because you don't have to throw useless matches on there, right? You could actually have every match of those pay-per-views, PLEs, whatever you want to call them, be for titles. You're going to have a SmackDown presents Backlash. You have the WWE Undisputed title, which, stop calling it undisputed. If you have another world title, it's not undisputed. Anyway, the WWE title, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. You have the U.S. title, the women's U.S. title, and the tag belts. That's 5, right? And the women's title. Excuse me. Okay, I'm trying again. You got the world title, women's title, both mid-cards, and the tag. That's 5 matches. You could pull that out as one show, and you could do very good. Same thing with Raw. All you have to do is get rid of the women's tag titles, and seeing as Liv Morgan is injured, I don't believe that at all. It feels like perhaps filming for that movie she was supposed to be in was taking longer than expected because she came back for a cup of coffee and now she's gone again. It could be a legit injury. Sure. It just feels all too convenient. It's like Dominic Mysterio, who was supposed to defend his Intercontinental title, but they've pulled him from the show. He's not injured. There's no way. He was perfectly fine. What he, like AJ Styles said, did he injure his mustache? No. Why did they take him off the show? Because they went Sami Zayn on the show. On a show called Night of Champions, they pulled the championship match and did not replace it with a championship match. The King of the Ring, the finals could have been on Raw and SmackDown. You got the women's finals on Raw, the men's finals on SmackDown. They don't need to be at a PLE or pay-per-view. That's not necessary. You're wasting 2 match spots for matches where the King of the Ring is on the line, but the King of the Ring crown matters as much as these wipes for my glasses. Sure, they're nice, but what else use is there for? Nothing. So back to Money in the Bank before I got off on that rant. The booking of that show pissed me off that I had actually considered to stop doing reviews for current shows, for current PLEs, for the current product, because it just pissed me off. But I wanted to give a shot. I wanted to see what the card for Night of Champions was going to be. It hasn't impressed me. It hasn't impressed me at all. Before we get to that, though, back to Money in the Bank. The booking. Only 2 things from that night I consider good booking. Jacob Fatu turning on Solo. Finally, after 7,000 years of waiting. That's another thing that's pissing me off. Can we pay off something? These long ass storylines don't need to go. How long have the Judgment Day been fighting? 2 years? Split them up already. Why are we taking so long? And why is it every single tag team needs to have problems with each other? Is there no other story you could do with tag teams other than, I have a problem with you, oh, you have a problem with me, I have a problem with you. Oh no, can they coexist? That's just what it seems like when they need to shake it up a little bit, you know? Let me drink quick. So number 1 thing I agreed with, Jacob Fatu turning on Soap. Fine. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso winning that tag match. A tag match that, again, is not necessary when you have a 5-match PLE or pay-per-view. You do not need to waste it with a tag team match no one cares about. You had 2 title match rivalries you could have done. John Cena and Cody Rhodes, right? Jey Uso and Logan Paul. You decided to throw Jey Uso and Logan Paul on Saturday night's main event, and those are starting to piss me off too because, I don't know, it's just starting to, like, because they have to they're booking these matches that should be at PLEs at Saturday night's main event because they're trying to make it look big when all they are glorified house shows broadcast on NBC on a Saturday night. That's it. That's all those really were. Looking back some of the 80s ones, and even like the first couple in the 2000s were fine. And then they couldn't give a shit and just threw stuff together. The last event was like a 6-man tag match or something. And it wasn't even, it was like Great Khali and shit. No. But I don't know, I just don't care. That stuff. And again, you could have done something, but no. And now look, the whole thing with Jey Uso and Logan Paul is done now. So why were they in the tag match if you weren't going to have the rematch for the title? What happened? You know, no one wanted Logan Paul to be in a title picture anyway, and I think we should start, firing him, or, I don't know. If you're going to put him in some kind of match, don't put him for titles. Just, I don't know. Nobody wants to see him. The only reason that Logan Paul keeps showing up is to have the sponsorship with Prime. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the show at all. Guaranteed. But then they throw, instead of having But it is even more convoluted because when you're doing Jey Uso and Logan Paul for that match and teeing up that tag match, Gunther's around going, I'm going to a title match too. Why is there so much going on? And all that build with Gunther getting a rematch for it to be on Raw. And even then, one of the most disappointing things is you have Gunther, I hate these finishes. Because in thought, if you really think about these kind of finishes, the person who wins should be disqualified, right? Because what is the moves? The cravat thing that Roman does, and the sleeper hold that Gunther does. It gets to the point where they can no longer breathe and they pass out, right? They don't tap, they pass out because they can say, oh, he didn't tap out to him. He didn't tap out. He didn't give up. He kept going. He didn't give up. He passed out rather than tap out to him. But if you really think about it, that should be disqualification because what's one things that are illegal? Chokeholds, right? Can't do chokeholds because chokeholds mean that they can't breathe. So if someone's passing out because they can't breathe, it's mean that is a chokehold and that the person giving that chokehold should be disqualified for not letting go. But no, they continue to do those kind of finishes that I hate those. So now Gunther is the champion because he's going to have the match against Goldberg. A match which does not need a title attached to it. Gunther and Goldberg is an attraction. It doesn't need a title. And I look back at some of what Jey Uso's title reign has been, and he barely defended it. He won it at WrestleMania, and his first defense was not at Backlash. It was at the Saturday Night's main event afterwards against Logan Paul. And he was in a tag team match, they defended again, and he lost, technically, to Gunther. And I always think it's a big waste of taking it off a champion. If you're going to have the next champion then lose the title to the champion that took it from, why not just move on to other people? Why do we have to go back? Go through acid reflux there. Gunther doesn't need the title to go against Goldberg. I don't know why they think that's going to make it any better. It's still Gunther versus Goldberg. Nobody cared about it before it was a title match. Nobody cares about it now. Title match doesn't make any difference. I should say nobody wanted it before, nobody wants it now. It doesn't matter. Some people might care. I don't. It's Goldberg. Let him retire. You know? And there was the other booking. Other bookings from that night that I don't like. For one, up until the day of the event, there were 4 matches. And then at an event that probably no one watched, the Worlds Collide event, I didn't watch it, although I wasn't home. And if I was home, I might have. I don't know. They just said, oh, hey, Dominic Mysterio's going to defend his title against Octagon Jr. Cool. But could you not wait till the day of the event? You know, because some people like me make predictions, which I'm still going to do because at least if I win, I'll get a pop out of it. And for the first time ever, I think, I only got one prediction right, and that was in the main event. Yeah. And I lost that world title to Goku. It was right there. Because of the stupid-ass booking. And we didn't have that match even on the card. Even on the predictions. Because they announced it the day of, and I wasn't able to get to my fucking notebook to do it. Oh, I should look for notebooks. Anyways. Then you have the Money in the Bank ladder matches. We'll start with the women's, I guess. Look at all the talent in that. Look, you took at all the scope of all the women in that match, right? Julia, Stephanie Vakir, you had Rhea Ripley, and there was more. Alexa Bliss. All that talent that was in there. And Naomi. And you give it to the worst possible choice you could have given it to in that match, which is Naomi. She doesn't need a push. She doesn't need the briefcase. Throw her on main event and just get her off my screen. Why? Look, she had the worst match at WrestleMania this year with Jade Cargill. She's had... They're trying to force her into the narrative with other things, and it's not working, and I don't care. And she is the last person I wanted to see in that briefcase. I had Julia picked, but then again, it didn't really matter, because I don't think she was going to win, but it was a choice. I really couldn't pick. Any of the picks that I thought about making, none was her. And then, of course, with the men's, they had to make the most obvious, most unnecessary choice in Seth Rollins. The whole point, and this kind of contradicts my Naomi thing, but the whole point of the briefcase is to use it to push someone new into a main event position. As much as we question Austin Theory, it was someone new that they were pushing. Right? Even Otis winning was someone new they were pushing until they gave it to The Miz. But anyway, to give it to Seth Rollins, a guy who does not need that briefcase for a title match. He could have walked in and said, "Geese title match," and got a title shot. He does not need that briefcase. He doesn't need that briefcase. He's got guys on his side to help him. He doesn't need that briefcase. There are other guys in that match that could use it. But there's only one guy who deserves it. L.A. Knight. Yeah. For the third year in a fucking row, you have L.A. Knight in a match. And he does not win. Maybe last year the U.S. title was on the line, but I know this man is in his 40s. I get it. But he deserves a push. This man has been almost to the tippy top of a push. And they just keep on, go. And every time he doesn't win, and someone asks Triple H, he goes, "Good things come to those who wait." We're sick of waiting. Give it to him. And speaking of Triple H's bullshit, at the conclusion of the Jey Uso and Cody versus John Cena and Logan Paul match, R-Truth Mr. Ron Killings made a triumphant return after he was unceremoniously fired, and the fans wouldn't shut the hell up, so they had to hire him back because people wouldn't shut up about it. It was like Sonic all over again. And I'm telling you, Ron Killings, R-Truth, being fired is 100% legitimate. He was fired, gone, he got the boot. He was no longer with the company, he was out. It was, shoot, he was fired. But then, at the press conference, Triple H, spouting on his bullshit. It's all part of the show. Bull fucking shit. Because after that, R-Truth and R-Truth's son both called him out on the bullshit. But you got people, we'll call them morons, who are believing Triple H's bullshit. Saying that he's not, that it was all a work, it was a work, we got worked. No, we didn't get worked. If you're buying that it was a work, you're getting worked. He was fired. He was gone. It was done. It was over with. He was fired. He was let go. Right? Now you got people, I saw a post. Now we got to do the same for Carlito. Carlito let his contract expire. He won a title in Puerto Rico. He was going. Right? So I go through all this ranting to say that from now on, I'm still going to continue Wrestling Corner, covering classic pay-per-views, all their stuff, older episodes of Raw, or SmackDown, or NXTs maybe, stuff like that. But I will not be doing any of the current product anymore. I don't even know if I'm going to watch the programming anymore. Obviously, I'm attached to the social medias, so I'll be paying attention to what's going on. Maybe once they get their head out of their asses and actually start doing good booking, I'll come back. But for now, no. No. I'm done for now with the current stuff. I just want... like I said, I'm probably still going to do the... probably still going to do the predictions with Brandon. But... I don't know. I get a free pop out of the situation if I win, so... And I want to get that title back from Doofus over here. But other than that... I don't care. I still look at older stuff. You know, I started a series back when I first started Wrestling Corner where I was going to review all of the 20th anniversary, all of the Monday Night Raws that were on 20th anniversary DVDs. And I did that first episode of Raw because it was a bonus disc on the 15th anniversary and then haven't continued that. So maybe down the line I'll get to that. I gotta do something now to do these because I need more content with those. But for now... this is what you get. Sorry if I disappointed you, but I can't. I just can't. Sorry. So what are your thoughts on this? Let me comment, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm a Sky, and I'll see you in the next one. Why am I getting question marks?